Exterminate. Exterminate.
You're mine now.
Greetings!
Back to the past.
How's it going? Now you see me?
Oh!
You don't.
If you're looking for a fast-paced character with lots of personality in a team-based shooter, let me introduce you to the Scout. It's no secret that TF2 inspired Overwatch. Everything from its gameplay and game modes, to the way it expands its world through comics and cinematics. It's clear to see how much Overwatch really did borrow from TF2, including a little thing called subclasses. If you haven't played TF2 before, you look at the hero roster and you're like, damn, only 9 characters? And for example, you click on the sniper class and you realize it's just Widowmaker, but then you give that sniper class a bow, and then it's Hanzo. The same thing applies with the spy. He's basically just Sombra with his default kit, but then you give him the ambassador and now he's Cassidy. And once again, Overwatch took inspiration from subclasses and made each subclass its own character. And this was a really good idea by Blizzard because Team Fortress 2 was Overwatch's biggest competitor. And in my opinion, this is why Overwatch succeeded. Overwatch gave those Team Fortress fans a new game that felt really similar but different at the same exact time. And I think Tracer best reflects that idea. And the reason I don't say this about Widowmaker and Sniper or Mercy and Medic is that to me, those characters don't have enough difference. And this leads me on to my next point about the Overwatch flair, the spice that Overwatch's gameplay has, the part of Overwatch that makes it not just a clone of TF2 like everyone thought it was when it first came out. Just like Tracer, the Scout is really good at winning 1v1 duels. And because the Scout has great mobility, he can use the map design to his advantage to go on flanks. So when that Scout main finally boots up Overwatch and gives it a chance and starts playing Tracer, and then goes into the enemy backlines and gets a pick and survives, it feels like home. It feels like they're playing TF2. And the same thing applies to the movement and map knowledge in Overwatch 2. That Scout main already knows because of Team Fortress 2 how powerful information is. All of those hours you spent in Team Fortress 2 is rewarded in Overwatch 2 because the same rules apply. And like I mentioned before, this is one of Overwatch's strongest assets. The fact that it feels so similar to TF2 draws them in, but it's the Overwatch flair that gets them to stay. As Scout, you totally can contest the objective and survive for as long as possible until you die to a random fucking crit. Because of that Overwatch spice, that little bit of zest, if you know what I mean, Tracer was made to do it. She kind of excels in that situation. Every Scout wants to be in their own little action movie where they're in the middle of the enemy team, dodging every single attack coming at them, but they will just inevitably die. But the thing is, because this is Overwatch, Tracer can live out that Scout fantasy. And this is because of all the abilities Blizzard gave to Tracer. And this is when people stopped calling Overwatch a TF2 ripoff. Because on surface level, yes, Overwatch does take a lot from TF2, but the deeper you dig and the more you play, the more you realize that Overwatch isn't a TF2 ripoff, it's a power fantasy. It doesn't matter how good your Scout movement is in TF2, some idiot that hasn't played the game in 3 years is just gonna kill you with splash damage. And you might think to yourself, can't the exact same thing happen in Overwatch 2? Someone that hasn't played in years comes back, picks Hanzo and kills you randomly? Well, this is where it's gonna get hard to distinguish the difference between splash damage versus walking into a rocket on accident. In Overwatch, there's a mechanic called the Lucio effect, and whether or not you know it, you've done it before. The Lucio effect happens when you play a high mobility character. Because you're so fast and you cover so much distance constantly, you're more likely to walk into things like Reinhardt Charge or a Junkrat Trap. And on a surface level, this looks a lot like luck. People being very nice and polite, just walking into your arrows, getting free kills when you're trying to kill a sentry all along. But in reality, this is just called game sense. Understanding that there's a random crit coming your way, or that you're just gonna get headshot from across the map, that's game sense, but the difference is how you counter it. And this is one of the biggest reasons why people fall in love with Overwatch when they come from TF2. You have two options in Team Fortress 2. You either play like you're unaware of the dangers around you, trying to live out that power trip like playing heavy and holding W, or being Scout and running into the enemy team, just to die because it wasn't a smart idea. The other option is to be hyper aware of what's going around you and play safe so you don't die constantly, but then you're not playing the way you initially wanted to play that character. But because Overwatch was built around the idea of playing a character the way they're advertised, you get into those situations where you die to that Lucio mechanic I talked about, respawn it, take that in, add it to your game sense, but not nerf the way you want to play the character. In the simplest way, think about it like this. In TF2, if you learn to not die, you're gonna sacrifice the enjoyment of your character. But because of the design philosophy of Overwatch 2, if you're learning and adapting and playing safe, you're still doing all that cool stuff you wanted to do with that character. And this is why I think Tracer is the most iconic hero in Overwatch. Well, I know it's iconic DPS, but that's just for the video title. Tracer heavily relates to everything I just talked about for the past 4 minutes. Now, before I end off this video, I want to talk about one little thing that I might make an entire video on, depending if you guys care. Since I talked a lot about Overwatch taking inspiration from other games in this video, I thought now would be a good time to bring this topic up. As we all know, the new hero Lifeweaver is coming out, and this is what I wanted to talk about. I'll keep this short just in case you want an entire video. Overwatch has been really good at making iconic, recognizable characters. But I gotta admit, when I see Lifeweaver, I really don't see an Overwatch hero. Yes, he has all the crazy abilities and stuff that an Overwatch hero would have, but he's like, design? I just don't really see it. And this is what the main topic of that video would be about. Now that Overwatch has completely ran out of inspiration from Team Fortress 2 and its subclasses, it's really relying on its own creative thinking. And sometimes you get really cool things from that, like Ramatra and Junker Queen. They fit really well into the world of Overwatch. But then you look at Lifeweaver and you're like, damn, his body shape looks like it belongs straight from Valorant, and his armor design looks like it's straight from Paladins. If you look at a character like Tracer and you look at all the technology she wears, you're like, yeah, that fits perfectly into the time frame that Overwatch is set in. The world of Overwatch has always felt very grounded and real, but yet fictional and wacky. Lifeweaver doesn't really fit that. He fits a more fantasy game, which would be exactly like Paladins. And I understand the Overwatch team has to ride a very fine line between wacky and realistic and all of that Overwatch good stuff. But I gotta be honest, with Lifeweaver, it really feels like they missed the mark here. And I understand I might not be getting through to everyone because my whole argument is just like, hey, if you've played Paladins, you know what I'm talking about. So if you want to hear more about what I'm actually talking about, or you're like, oh, I don't know what he's really saying, but I kind of get it, maybe I should make an entire video on it. Alright, if you're only here for the Overwatch portion of the video, it's over. Thank you so much for watching and continuously supporting me. You guys are pretty fucking cool. I just want to apologize for taking so long to upload this because holy fuck, I've been so badly sick. Maybe you could tell at the start of my video towards the end, like, my voice just changes 24/7. I was just going through many phases of feeling like absolute trash. The good news is, the main point of that video that I tried to convey about Tracer being recognizable and like how she feels similar but different and how she works, I got that through. I said basically everything I wanted to say, but the bad news is I was feeling so shit that a lot of the funny jokes, stuff like that, I kind of cut out because I'm like, I don't have the funny energy to make a funny energy joke, you know what I mean? So I'm sorry about that, but the important part, the actual chunk part of it that's really important, I did convey properly, at least if you understand it. I think it was kind of schizophrenic the way I ordered it, I'm not gonna lie. Also, I hope you really liked the intro. I got quite a bit of help from my friend, and I think you'll be seeing quite a lot more of him, especially with the intro stuff. It helps me just do a lot more cinematic things, and helps me like with ideas that I initially have, but I'm like, it's hard to do and act out with one person. Also, what I just realized, because apparently I can only use like 3 brain cells at a time when making a decision. In my last Overwatch video, I was so confident. I'm like, yeah guys, don't worry. The next video will be on support. It's gonna be super easy and chill. I got it all sorted out. You guys have been waiting long enough for a support video. And then I was like, oh man, I'm so smart and clever at giving people what they want. Didn't fucking realize a new support hero is coming out when I want to make a Brigitte video. And I'm like, shit, that's going to be hard to do when everyone's queuing up for support. I don't really know what I'm saying with this, but just the fact, I'm just realizing it, that I'm not fucking smart. And I made that decision, and now I don't know what to do, because like, oh boy, I'm going to be queuing for a long time if I need to make a support video, which I said I will do, so I guess I'm going to do it. I'm just fucking ranting again. And this is how this always goes. And I always have like 2 clear things I want to talk about, and then shit just turns into a rant. I'm sorry, but if you're still listening to me here right now, it's probably because you just, I don't know, you're at work or some shit. I don't know. Thank you for listening to me. I really need to learn how to properly end sentences, end videos, because this rant section has gone on for like 30 seconds. I'm seeing the timer go up. Oh god, someone pause this video. Someone needs to stop me before I go on forever and ever.